Now we are going to learn about and draw some of the structures in the for animals in the phylum Platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes. Now, you might remember learning about a duck-billed platypus, which is actually a mammal, a marsupial, no, not a marsupial, a placental mammal that has a flat bill like a duck. So platy means flat. And helminthes means worm. So these are also commonly known as flatworms. And as we get, as scientists have gotten more and more information on the DNA and on the chemistry, the biochemistry of the flatworms, they some biologists put them in the group Acelomorpha. But this is not everyone yet. You know, it hasn't made it to the textbooks. But if you were to Google about the platyhelminthes, you might see that term, because they are what we call acoelomates. That means coelom is a body cavity, and a means they don't have one. Now they have a digestive tract, but they don't have a true body cavity. And what I mean by that is we have body cavities that contain our brain and our spinal cord, and we have a body cavity that contains our stomach and our intestines. These are spaces that house organs, typically, that are isolated from the main tissues of the body. Now, the flatworms do have a digestive tract. In fact, we are now going into animals that have a complete digestive tract. They have a mouth, and then they also have an anus. So, I am so sorry. That is wrong. I guess because they're long and worm-like and they are flatworms, I put them in with the other worms. But that's one of the differences between the platyhelminthes and the roundworms and the segmented worms, is that the platyhelminthes do still have an incomplete digestive tract. They only have an opening. They only have one opening, and that's the mouth and the anus together. Okay, so I apologize for that mistake. All right, so we're going to talk about development a little bit again. This time, the platyhelminthes are what we call triploblastic or triploblast. They are going to have 3 germ layers, and those 3 germ layers are ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. So we're first going to look at the germ layers, but I'm going to draw it kind of in a triangle shape because that's kind of what it would look like if we sliced into a flatworm. The body would the upper part of the body would kind of form into a V shape, and the underside would be flat. So the ectoderm is going to look kind of like this. And let's just make it a little thicker because it is tissue. Okay, so the blue is our ectoderm, which is going to form into skin. It's going to form into, some of the cells of the ectoderm will differentiate and become cells of the nervous system. So the ectoderm primarily, though, is just the outside covering of the animal. And then we're going to draw the digestive cavity here. And these are just the cells that line the digestive cavity. Okay, and that is the endoderm. Now we are going to have a third tissue layer. It is not the mesoglia. It's not just jelly-like tissue. It contains cells. So I'm just going to draw some cells. There's all different cells, and then some organs even form in this layer. The mesoderm in animals is going to form into the muscles and the bones. So that's how you can relate to that tissue. Now, the only difference in the development of an animal such as a human and the development of a triploblastic animal that does not have a body cavity is the body cavity would be here in this area. It would be between, it would kind of be in the region of the mesoderm. There would just be an opening, a cavity there. And that's not the same thing as the GI tract. But the point is, if we slice into a flatworm, this is like a cross section through the flatworm's body. So it's triploblastic, but it's acoelomate. It's an acoelomate. That means it does not have a coelom, does not have a body cavity. The tissue is just flat all the way through. See, if you cut through, let's say you cut through the middle of our abdomen, you're going to cut through some skin and some connective tissue and some muscle tissue, which will be the mesoderm. And then you're going to have open area that has your organs in it. And then you'll get to your digestive tract, which is lined with endoderm. So, but there's this whole big open area called the coelom, which is the body cavity that houses the organs like the stomach and the liver and the intestines, and also the heart and the lungs. So in flatworms, they don't have that body cavity. They're just tissue all the way through except for their digestive cavity, the opening to their digestive cavity. So you can call this the digestive cavity. You can also just call it the gut. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to draw an example of a flatworm, of a Platyhelminthes. And it's one that you may not be that familiar with, but you are going to have a video about these flatworms. These are called planaria. This is a flatworm called a planarian or a planaria. They are freshwater flatworms. They are not. They can't harm you. Now, another example that you probably are familiar with is a tapeworm. A tapeworm is also a flatworm. But these are studied because they have the ability to regenerate, and I don't want to share too much because that's what your video is about. But they sort of have this little area. This is their head region, and they sort of have this little area that looks like ears. And then this kind of goes like this and to the tail region. So they are bilaterally symmetrical. They do have bilateral symmetry. Up until now, the sponge had no symmetry. It's asymmetrical. And the cnidaria had radial symmetry. Now the flatworms have bilateral symmetry. You can cut them into equal left and right halves. So let's see. They're going to have the digestive tract. Let's draw that first. And it's pretty much just going to be, I don't want to draw it red. They have it red here. But I think because they've got what's called a gastrovascular cavity. But it doesn't have blood in it. But anyway, let's just draw how they have it here. So it's going to be this main long tube that branches into 3 longer tubes, and then there are branches coming off of them. Now I'm just not good at drawing, so I'm not even going to really try to make this real artistic, but it's basically this long tube. This one in the middle has the opening for the mouth and the anus. So again, just like the cnidaria, the flatworms have an incomplete digestive system. They are also going to have a nervous system. Let's see what would go well. I'm just going to draw the nervous system in in black so that it'll cover, because I have to draw over the intestine. So we've got kind of a digestive system here with our intestine, our real long intestine that ends with one opening, the mouth and the anus. And then we also have these nerve ganglia called cerebral ganglia. It means it's not quite a brain, but it is a group of nerves. And they're connected like this. And then the nerve cords run down the side. We have two nerve cords that run down the side, and then they connect like a ladder. And they have some little branches at the end. Okay, so we have a simple nervous system. We know that planaria are able to learn very, very simple commands, like you can teach a planaria when it comes to a choice in a maze. You can teach them what to always choose left or always choose right. They can learn as long as it's not too complex. And then what is really cool is that the planaria now, the flatworms now have something that definitely no other animal has had up to this point, and that is an excretory system. It's all this excretory tissue all along the side here, and excretory just refers to, so I'll put excretory system, like the urinary system. So the planaria has a simple nervous system, and it has a simple digestive system, which is incomplete. It's mainly just an intestine and then a mouth/anus. And it's got the excretory, the primitive excretory system that helps produce, you know, what we would call urine, but it would be like nitrogenous waste. So it would compare to our, you know, our urinary system that includes our kidneys and the little filtering tubules inside of the kidneys called the nephrons. So we're starting to see more body systems is the point, okay? Now, it doesn't say, it may not say this, but you know that it's got a gastrovascular cavity because it doesn't have any blood vessels, it doesn't have a heart. So the intestine is also going to serve as the vascular system as well. So we've got the digestive system and the vascular system together, just like we had with the cnidarians.